The world of Pokemon is widely accepted as a great place for kids. Once a kid reaches about 10, they have the opportunity to leave their home and travel the world, meeting all kinds of fantastic creatures to help them on their way. That's at 10. I'm over double that and I can barely function as an independent individual. So with all this in mind, it's gotta be accepted that all Pokemon are good for kids. That there aren't any ones that could do tremendous harm, right? Well, as you may already know, no. That's completely wrong. It's almost terrifying how many Pokemon exist simply to torment and kill children. So, you go to a carnival or a similar family event. To make the day memorable, you want to get your kids something. And while you're thinking of something, your child sees another kid with a balloon and loves it. You want to get your kid one, but you can't find the vendor. You look off to the side and see a balloon floating with no owner. Seems to be a loose one, belonging to no one. You could give that to your kid and save a buck by not buying one. You grab it and give it to your kid, who proceeds to float away and you never see him again. Bam! That's basically what Drifloon is. Drifloon is the balloon Pokemon, and its Pokédex entry says this. It is whispered that any child who mistakes Drifloon for a balloon and holds onto it could wind up missing. If you think balloons are the only harmless things to be scared of in the Pokemon universe, you must be new here. So, you're 10 years old, you've journeyed through hot and cold to forward your travels and experience the world of Pokemon. You also hope to one day see your dad, who, while you are young, set out on a journey of his own. You find a cave to hide in from the harsh weather outside, and you think of him. The cave is cold and damp, but you'll make it through the night. Suddenly, you hear a soft sobbing from deep within. So, you explore deeper in to find the source. While going deeper, you have a sudden rush of memories of your father. How he sounded and acted in the brief period of your life. As you get closer, you have no doubt. It's him. You're ready to be reunited. A face turns in the dark, barely illuminated. It's his face. But the rest of him sends chills down your spine, and you pass out. Well done, you've just found a Yamask. According to the Pokédex, each of them carries a mask that used to be its face when it was human. Sometimes they look at it and cry. This Pokemon seems to be built from the memories of the deceased and carry their own face as a reminder of their past selves. It's also said in the Pokédex that they carry memories of their past lives. They must live terrible, regretful lives on the planet, wandering with no hope, and kids can find these, like, straight up, you could be walking down a road and boom, human face mourning its own life. It doesn't get any better when it evolves either. Carphagricus is basically a living sarcophagus that consumes those who get close and turns them into mummies. You could sit there and think of cartoon mummies wrapped in bandages and groan, but do you not remember learning about them in school? With a hook put through the nose to pull out your brains, and how all organs had to be removed for the mummification to begin? No thanks, my kids are staying at home. So, you become an overprotective parent. My child isn't going into that dangerous world to be eaten, killed, or maimed by those ravenous monsters, you think to yourself. My child is staying at home, getting an education and getting a real job. Your kid comes up to you and tells you their nose was itchy when they woke up, but you just brush it off and send them back to bed. In the morning, they tell you they had a wonderful dream, but they can't remember it. You laugh it off and tell them that's normal and carry on like nothing's happened. If you see these signs, your kid is being fed upon by a Drowsy. According to the Dex, if you think you had a good dream but can't remember it, a Drowsy has probably eaten it. Now, forgetting dreams is normal, but there's also an entry that states, if your nose becomes itchy while you're sleeping, it's a sure sign that one of these Pokemon is standing above your pillow and trying to eat your dreams through your nose. In fact, most of the entries for this creature, when written out, sound innocent, but when you really read into things, sound creepy as hell. It can tell what people are dreaming by sniffing with its big nose. It loves fun dreams. What the hell? It remembers every dream it eats. It rarely eats the dreams of adults because children's are much tastier. Why? So, your child had trouble sleeping after that incident, so you buy him a toy. Something for him to look after since you're trying to keep him away from Pokemon. I mean, that's the safest thing to do, right? A question you ask yourself on a regular basis. He starts growing up and it's not long before he simply discards a doll after giving it the worst treatment imaginable. Boys will be boys, you tell yourself. The night ends like any other. When you're just about to reach the land of Nod, you hear an ear-piercing scream. You run over to your son's room to find him shaking, scared. On top of him is a doll with red eyes, a strange energy leaving its mouth composed by a golden zip. The mist envelops your son, and he drops, unmoving. The doll slips through the window before you can get to it, and all you can do is hold your son's cold body. What you just saw was a Banat. The Pokemon entries of this creature starts rather cryptic, saying how they give curses through energy that escapes their mouths. The early entries also state that they are born from discarded dolls and return through feelings of strong hatred, but it never states who the hatred is for. It's rather vague. Things are cleared up in the Pokemon Black and White entry that states, a doll that became a Pokemon over its grudge of being thrown away. It seeks the child who disowned it. Children really aren't safe in this world. You're walking through the woods, your son heavy on your mind. It's been years since you've seen him. He used to call a lot, but he hasn't in a while. It's fine though, he's probably busy. There are more than enough challenges and gyms to keep him busy, you tell yourself, hoping it's just that. You forage deep, but still stick to the path, when you notice a distant crying. You stray away deeper into the woods to find the source. When the tone is clearer, a rush of nostalgia runs over you. That's your son's cry. You'll recognize that anywhere. You move faster to the source. When you get there, dread runs through you. You drop to your knees and join in on the sobbing. And you both do that in each other's company. So, what did you see? If you said a phantom, you'll be right. And if this sounds familiar, it should. It's very similar to the Yamask story I just told, but this one's seemingly for kids. Phantom's Pokédex entry says, according to old tales, these Pokemon are stumps, possessed by the spirits of children who died while lost in the forest. And also says, these Pokemon are created when spirits possessed rotten tree stumps. It seems if the spirit of a deceased child doesn't move on, they have a chance of inhabiting a hollow, wooden form. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this week's video. It was fun trying to mix storytelling and a list together, so leave a like and let me know in the comments what you thought so I know if I should do this again. If you want to see another list, click here for my video on 8 photos with horrifying stories.